That is the final whistle at St James's Park. And it's not good news for West Ham and their fight for a Champions League spot, or even just to finish as high as possible in the Premier League. We could have gone third with a win at St James's Park this afternoon. It's ended in defeat for the Hammers, despite a spirited second half comeback. Newcastle took the lead in the 36th minute, and a mix-up with Fabianski and Diop, a shot coming in, saved by Fabianski, turned over his own line inadvertently, rather accidentally by Diop, coming off the back of his right ankle. But it counts nonetheless. And then 5 minutes later, Joe Linton scoring the fifth goal of his career for Newcastle, the second in the last three games, apparently. And he won't have an easier chance. A corner swung in from the right-hand side, dropped in Roberto style by Fabianski. I'm currently being attacked by a wasp. That's yellow and black stripes as opposed to black and white stripes, but we'll keep an eye on that one. And Joe Linton hooked it over the line to make it 2-0 to Newcastle, and that's how it stayed until the break. West Ham, of course, had already been reduced to 10 men when Craig Dawson, already booked in the 12th minute for a foul on Joe Linton, was sent off for a lunge on the halfway line after some poor control by the central defender, leaving West Ham with a massive uphill task for the second half. Credit to David Moyes. We said at half-time that, it's been a season of surprises and don't rule the Hammers out just yet. And briefly, we thought we might escape. 73 minutes had gone when a deep cross was nodded home by Issa Diop, kind of amending in some ways for that first half error to give West Ham a chance in the game. And then 6 minutes later, ball swung into the box and it was a handball. Went to VAR check. Kevin Friend, the referee, went to check it on the touchline and had no hesitation in awarding a spot kick, which Jesse Lingard duly stepped up to slam home into the left-hand side of the post of the net to record his 9th goal in a West Ham shirt. West Ham back from the brink, 2-0 down at half-time, back to 2-2 with only 10 men. We were all sitting here thinking, well, could West Ham go and actually win this game? Wasn't to be, because no less than 3 minutes later, Willock nodded home. Although, and I'm sure this is something we're going to discuss in the next few minutes, it looked like a clear push on Angelo Ogbonna as the ball came into the box. But nonetheless, it was a firm header. And that was it. That was the goal that won the game for Newcastle. It pretty much assures them of a Premier League berth next season. And as for West Ham, our Champions League hopes have been given a huge knock this afternoon. Pinky, just one of those games. It didn't work out for the Hammers, not really at the races this afternoon. And, we almost fought our way back into it, but, it wasn't to be at the end. And quite frankly, we probably didn't really deserve anything, did we, on that performance?
No. And the game was basically gone in the first half. I think we had a poor attitude, compared with what we've had for the last 6 months, that's for sure. Normally we're out the blocks and at the opposition. Today, there was a touch of manana about it. There was a touch of dare I say it, well, it's only Newcastle, lads. And the first half, we were doing almost everything wrong. I mean, the individual errors, yes, they can happen, but we didn't do nearly enough in the opening 45 to trouble their defence. Second half, I thought we got ourselves out of jail a bit. We pulled it back to 2-2.
Yeah.
But the defending for their third goal, it was Newcastle's only real legitimate attack, and Soufal does nothing to shut the cross down to come in. Yes, Ogbonna's had a bit of a nudge, but I'm afraid Willock, or whatever his name is, has managed to come in. And young Ben Johnson, he's having a snooze, doesn't realise he's there. In he comes from behind him, buries the ball in the net, and the game is up. We got what we deserved today, which was nothing. I don't think Newcastle deserved very much, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those days where a poor game of football and the team with the slightly better game plan, came out on top. But for us, any thoughts of top four now? That's it. It's done. And you can't be losing.
So? You really think?
Yeah,
that's curtains.
You can't drop 6 points to Newcastle United. This Newcastle United, and think you're going to qualify for a Champions League spot. It's not happening, because if today we're saying nearly half the first team squad or the first team are missing, well, you could probably add Jesse Lingard to that list now. So it is half the first team missing next week. And do you fancy us against Chelsea, really, when they need to win to get into the Champions League? I can't say it.
I do actually, because that would be so very West Ham, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but normally when it's so very West Ham, it's the league position is desperate. We've got at least got the players available.
Yeah,
this time the league position is decent. We just haven't got the players available. And anyone watching that this afternoon, I hate slaughtering the younger players, but the young Johnson isn't quite ready for the first team yet. He really isn't. And that whole left side today offered nothing. Yes, good news. We've got Angelo Ogbonna has come back in today, but now we'll miss Craig Dawson for the next game, which means once again we have the positively infuriating Issa Diop will be playing in central defence, because he does some good things in some games, but you need centre backs that don't make mistakes. And today, both our centre backs really, or two of them today, really made huge errors. And Diop, a drag back that was utterly sublime. I mean, if we had a striker that could do that today, would have been happy. And Craig Dawson, his first touch just before he hacked down the Newcastle guy, for which he got the red card, a shocking first touch. And I thought in the first half, loads of our players were off it in terms of poor first touch, poor distribution, struggled to find a teammate with a pass, couldn't pick a pass that unlocked the opposition. Dreadful first half, not much better second half, and we got what we deserved, which was nothing. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Rio, Newcastle United 3, West Ham United 2. Your immediate post-match thoughts on what you've just seen in the last 90, well, it's actually about 101 minutes, I think, altogether.
I think Pinky summed it up perfectly. We went into the game and everything positive we've done all season in terms of intent, the way we set up, the way we play, it was lacking. Against teams that we have to take go on the front foot and take the game to them, we struggle every single time. Newcastle just sat back, happy to soak up the pressure, hit on the counter, which is what we do to teams, and we do it really effectively. When the boot's on the other foot and we have to be on the offensive, we have to think, we have to be creative, we have to be positive. We were lacking, and not one single player really stood out for me, as he rightly said, throughout the game. There's no leadership. No one wanted to take the game by the scruff of the neck. No one organise us and get into the players' heads that we have to take initiative. We have to be clever in our play. We have to be intelligent.
Yep.
We were lacking every single department. Then, when you think you're reading the storm a bit and you're getting into the game, you go and concede 2 horrendous goals like that. You have a brainless sending off. I mean, Craig Dawson really has got to look himself here.
Yeah.
Because that first one, he took one for the team. He dove in. But his touch for the second one was absolutely shocking. Don't dive in the second time. You're not some naive young kid. You've been playing at the top level for a long, long time. You know the red card's coming. And he's cost us a game now. With 11 men on the pitch, we were struggling. We didn't have the ideas to break them down. With 10, it was an impossible cause. And you're 2-0 down, you get back into the game, and then you just switch off for one second after being on the second half. We had the upper hand. We were much better. But it took far too long to get that first goal. Something like kind of air of fortune about that, as Pinky said.
Yeah.
If you're relying on VAR to give you penalties, it wasn't clear cut. Up until 2 or 3 seasons ago, you would watch that match of the day going, oh, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. It'd be debate about it. Now everything is too clinical and we got given it. I'm not moaning. Actually, I'm moaning about that. It's like please don't give it to Jesse Lingard because his record is pretty shocking. And I was absolutely in bits watching him step up to take that.
He played well, though, didn't he?
He did. It was a good penalty. But when Sky put up that little stat with the goal thing, he's taken 3 penalties and 2 of them missed.
Yeah.
You just automatically think, my God, can we bring Noble back on just for 5 seconds, you know?
Yeah.
Then we switch off and, you know, you can argue there's a push in the back and off Bonner, which, yeah, but, you know, it's one of them things. But the cross should have been blocked. Players should be stronger, particularly Ben Johnson, who, for all his endeavour, and he's as West Ham fans, you always want to see a young kid come in and you will them on. You will them on and you will them on. You want them to be great because they're one of your own.
Yep.
But since the turn of the year, he's looked pretty much out of place. He looks like he doesn't belong at the Premier League level at the moment. He needs possibly a year out on loan just to kind of beef himself up because he got bullied there today. And every time he went down the left-hand side, his lack of left foot was so evident. He checked back every single time. And he put in one decent cross. But apart from that, it was easy for Newcastle to snuff out. You know, every time the ball went down the left-hand side, they had nothing to do, really. It was pretty shocking.
I mean, can I just ask you, Rio? Sorry, just quickly. I mean, we never really give, or not us, but I mean, I'd say the fan base as a whole probably doesn't give Aaron Cresswell enough credit at times. And is that another case of you realise just how important he is to the team when he's not playing, as opposed to when he's out there? Given what we had out there.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, the lack of a left-sided player was just so evident today. It was unreal.
Yeah.
Cresswell gets absolute pelters. Right? And we've debated it on here time and time again. Yes, it's not the Aaron Cresswell we first got. Age and injuries are creeping up on him, but he offers a balance to that left-hand side of the defence.
Yeah.
Yes, he's not the greatest player in the world, but he was good enough to earn 2 England caps while playing for us. He's never ever got the credit he really deserves. And, you know, when he isn't playing, his delivery from set pieces, the balance he gives us, you know, without any kind of other option on the realistic option on the bench or in the squad to kind of step into the breach. Yeah. We looked a poor side without him today.
Certainly did. Gnome, I can see you're chomping at the bit to have your...
only because I'm going to have to go in a second.
Post-match thoughts. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to differ with Pink here. I thought we were worth the point. Second half, Newcastle added nothing to the attacking game other than the goal, which, as we've mentioned, big element of let's ignore that push going on in there. Well, we should what I've been saying at this point every week, ignore the league position, put that one away. Let's have a quick look and still laugh at Tottenham, and stop laughing at Tottenham on Tuesday. Just get ready for the next game. Let's see who's fit for next week first, because the injury list is getting longer and longer, and with no depth, something we've debated ad nauseum on this forum. It'd be interesting to see what we can put out. I do look forward to a certain obese radio presenter coming out and explaining exactly why the lack of squad depth that eventually cost us today, and it was going to happen, is not the fault of the owners. That's if he can stop eating for long enough. But anyway, disappointing. Roll up sleeves, go again next week.
Yeah, very much so. Chelsea, of course, it is. We'll come to that in due course. The first goal.
The Thrower family are going to have to bid their farewells at this point. So say goodbye, Jeff.
Continuing it.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, Jeff. You take care, buddy. Yeah. And Mr. Thrower and Mr. Thrower and Mr. Thrower.
Yeah, that behind me is doing ironing, believe it or not.
That might be a first. That might be a first for our stream.
Live ironing on our stream.
Congratulations.
Anyway, thanks a lot, guys, and catch up with you next week.
Well, there you go. See you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Okay, that's Gnome and Co. Disappearing off
Slightly.
for the day when he can find the button. So let's take a quick look at the goals in today's game, Pinky. We touched on it briefly a few moments ago, but the first goal, 36 minutes. Craig Dawson hadn't been sent off at that point, but he was a few seconds later. A terrible lunge by Dawson, lost control of the ball. The ball played through the centre, and the shot coming in. Fabianski making a reasonably decent save, but Diop sort of just getting those lanky legs in the way, and it was a bit of a comedy of errors, wasn't it, altogether?
Yeah, and well, first a bit of credit to Mark Noble here, because after Dawson had lunged in and basically taken himself out of the game by being on his backside, Noble had done the hard yards. He'd run back, and he was the player that forced Alan St. Maximum wide. So he made the angle difficult for the striker, and in doing so should have made the angle much more comfortable for the goalkeeper. Fabianski did okay in terms of getting down, but just comedy stuff from Mr. Diop. Credit him for heading back towards the line, but he got his feet all mixed up, and it was just a drag back that was, he'll probably his mum's probably taped it thinking great goal, son. Yeah, it'd be one of those, He'll have got back to the dressing room, and his mum would have sent him a text message saying great finish. No doubt about it. So an absolute comedy moment. You can't really credit Newcastle with a goal. Definite West Ham United own goal.
Again,
no doubts about it.
Yeah.
And then, dare I say it, the Fabianski one. I mean,
well, yes, yeah. I mean, of course, they scored the opening goal from the final touch coming from a yard out, and exactly the same thing happens 5 minutes later. The corner comes in, Fabianski channeling Roberto, and what was he doing? You mentioned at the time you felt there might have been a slight nudge from Diop, in his back, but we I think we've been a bit generous to him, aren't we?
Just a touch, because you know what. If a top-class goalkeeper can't cope with that, the faintest of touches from your own player, call it what it was a bad handling error by Fabianski.
Yeah.
He's got his hands on the ball, he's let the ball go, and we've seen him do that a few times, but not actually when he's surrounded by a group of players.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid, goalkeeper error, full stop. And he knew it. He absolutely knew it. And when we had the spot kick, no one was praying harder than Fabianski to see us convert it.
Yeah, one of those. So there it was. So West Ham 2 down at the break, Rio, and it was all doom and gloom. 10 men on the pitch, 2 goals down. It's one of those where in seasons gone by, perhaps West Ham United would have crumbled and maybe gone on to lose 4 or 5. But this is a team, regardless of what's happened today, this is a team made of stronger stuff. And it took a while, and we didn't get any substitutions before it happened. But 73 minutes gone. Really good cross coming in from the right. You can remind me who it was who provided the cross. And there was Issa Diop to kind of atone in some ways for that earlier error to pull West Ham back to 2-1.
Yeah, I'll try to remember. I think it was Soufal put the cross in. Can't actually remember correctly because I was just so stunned it was given. And the aftermath with the VAR decision, I got kind of lost with all that. But yeah, as I said, you rely on VAR. A couple of years ago, you would have gone back match of the day that night and thought, well, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but we didn't get it that day. I think VAR makes things far too clinical for my liking, but that's a different debate for a different day.
Yeah.
With Mark Noble off the pitch, upstairs Jesse Lingard, whose record from spot kicks isn't the most flattering for a professional footballer. And his only previous one for us was saved. All right, we got the rebound in, but it didn't fill me with confidence. I mean, to be honest, I'm not a confident man when we have penalties anyway. Since the days of Ray Stewart and Julian Dix, who, when they hit the ball, if the keeper got a hand to it, the keeper's invariably going in the back of the net with the ball.
Yep, indeed.
Mark Noble, bless him, has got an impeccable record of penalty taking for West Ham. Absolutely impeccable. But even then, when he takes them, I'm still a bag of absolute nerves, you know, and I shouldn't be when Mark Noble took a spot kick.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jesse did it. And to be fair to him, it was an absolute cracker.
Mhm.
No, it couldn't have placed it any better. And the belief was on, you know. The
Yeah.
backbone was there, the fighting spirit, the togetherness, you know. After an incredibly difficult first half, we'd regrouped and we got ourselves back in the game. And
Yeah. So there we were. So
as I said during the commentary.
Sorry, Rio, go on. Sorry. My apologies. Go on. Please
No, as I
carry on.
said during the commentary, these last 3 or 4 games for us have been incredibly stressful.
Yep.
For various reasons, you know. The Arsenal game was stressful because when you go 3-0 up against a team of that, I would say pedigree, but Arsenal haven't got a pedigree, of that reputation, let's say, you know, and a team that's continually put one over us for so many years that it's created a bit of an inborn hatred of me of that team, you know, and to cave in and lose those 3 goals at the end, I walked away absolutely distraught after that game, absolutely distraught. Then we have the Wolves game where we go 3-0 up again, race into a lead, defend like idiots, and cause complete panic in me. Then the Leicester game, 3-0 up, coasting, 20 minutes to go. What happens? They put me on the cardiac waiting list. You know, it's just so incredibly stressful. Then we do this today. We go 2-0 down, not looking like we've got a chance in hell. Give us hope, that forlorn hope that a West Ham fan can only have. And in typical time on the West Ham tradition, there's no happy ending this week.
No, of course there wasn't, because we were all doing jigs and dances of joy around our rooms. Well, I was anyway. Upon that equaliser, and then you know, we'd barely stopped celebrating Pinky, and a cross comes in from the left-hand side. Willock converts it with a really well taken header, to his credit. But come on, we've got to talk about it. It's a foul, isn't it, on Ogbonna?
No.
Come on.
Because if it was, we wouldn't have lost the game 3-2.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we need to stop this almost Liverpool-esque or Tottenham-esque victimhood nonsense that we get drawn into. Yeah, you know, we commit dozens of fouls every game in similar circumstances that are never penalised, that we turn a blind eye to. You know, that's football. You know, I'm nailing that goal firmly on 2 players: Vladimir Soufal, who didn't work hard enough to close his man down. Yeah, the guy inside him was covered by Fornals, so it wasn't a case of doubling up and he had to pick, you know, one or the other. He had a player who he knew his job: get out, stop the ball coming in. That's his job. That's the fullback's job. Stop the cross, you stop the goal. He didn't do his job. At the other side of the pitch, the other fullback is ball watching. Oh, look at that. Here's a lovely cross. Oh, no, there's Willock. He's just stuck in behind me. Oh, what a shame. Now, he's a youngster who will learn from that, and I'm not going to labour the point too much for him. But those 2 errors there cost that goal, not the nudge in the back for Ogbonna. You know, I mean, you know, defenders are nudged in the back all the time in those circumstances. Yeah, and it's rarely given. Yeah, the mistakes were Soufal didn't work hard enough, and Johnson was ball watching. Yeah, okay. And you know, well, let me put it to you: do you think David Moyes on Monday morning at Rush Green is going to say, "Really unlucky, lads, it was the nudge in the back that cost us"? No, he's going to get into Vladimir Soufal and going to go, "On the bus, you won't be stood in the bus stop much longer, pal. I'll make you walk everywhere. The bus is a treat going, you know, for you going forward." And young Johnson, you know, bless him. Young players do make mistakes. That's why they tend not to get picked too early unless they're exceptional. And he'll be mortified, the young lad will, you know. And yeah, perhaps the manager, to protect a young player, might make more of the Ogbonna nudge than he should do. But you look at that and you go, 2 clear mistakes in the same attacking move, you know, and that's what's cost us, no doubt about it. And you'd argue mistakes for the 3rd goal, mistake for the second goal, comedy of errors for the first goal. We've gifted 3 points to Newcastle United. No doubt about it. Steve Bruce, you know, he'll be sending David Moyes a case of wine for that, because he'll be thinking, thank you very much indeed. 6 points. 6 points from West Ham United this season. And we think we're going for the Champions League, do we?
Steve Bruce, of course, is on the telly right now. Can't hear a word he's saying. And Gnome, who would usually be listening to those interviews for us, has had to pop off. So we'll have to wait until a little bit later, and we'll bring you the best of, or the worst maybe, it depends which way you look at it, of Steve Bruce's post-match comments on KUMB. If you check the homepage a bit later on, that and David Moyes' views will be there, as no doubt those of some of our players. Rio, the final goal, I've got to ask you, because I mean, I understand what Pinky's saying, and I think it's a fair point he makes. But at the end of the day, I think the referees missed a pretty deliberate push in the back on Angelo Ogbonna, and one which, had it not taken place, would have probably prevented the goal being scored. What's your view on that?
I think there was a nudge. What we've got to take into consideration now is that with the AR, these kind of nudges and pushes shouldn't be taken, shouldn't be missed, should they? Every goal is reviewed, every mistake, every kind of potential opportunity to disallow the goal is looked at. And it wasn't given. So if it was given against us, we'd be hitting the roof. We'd be absolutely fuming, no? And I'd just give the Callum Willock a bit of credit, because it was a cracking header.
Yeah.
He did his job, you know. He's gone up. Johnson has to be stronger, but Willock's absolutely nailed that header. It was absolutely cracking. You've got to say, could Fabianski have done better? But just a cracking header. He kind of positive move Newcastle put together all day with real intent. And, brilliant finish by Willock. I'm not going to argue about it, because if the book been on the other foot and it'd been disallowed, if I'd have been a Newcastle fan or West Ham fan, I would have hit the roof if that had been given against us. So,
I mean, the point is, I mean, you know, you look at VAR. We got one today, didn't we? We got one with a penalty, and you know, we lost one. You could potentially say with that, you know, not being looked at. So, you know, it kind of evens itself out. David Moyes is on the TV now. I don't know if either of you guys can hear what he's saying there, but I can see him puffing his cheeks out. He looks a little bit exasperated, although there's a slight smile on his face as well. But maybe we'll hear from the boss a little bit later. So that's it. It finished 3-2 to Newcastle. Rio, should we have a quick look at the forums while we're just
sure.
David Moyes in, and just see what the view is from the Hammers fans? No doubt everyone's going to be pretty scathing, I'd imagine, of that performance.
Yeah, there's a lot of negativity, as you completely understand. Honky Sonks put, it's brain dead by Dawson. 2 stupid yellows. I keep saying it as well, but Johnson's not a wing back. We missed Arthur from an attacking point of view. Ben Rama does not help himself. Not had much opportunity in the last 2 appearances, but 4 times his ball contact, 3 last week and 1 this week. That's my issue with him. So 7 has put, it was incredibly poor a day from the whole team. No individuals to blame, just a poor performance. Our passing was off from the start, and we failed to get any rhythm. Injuries certainly didn't help, as you would feel it would have been a much different game if we had the likes of Rice, Antonio Crespo and Masuaku. But no excuses, every team suffers injuries. It's on us to be big enough and have a big enough squad to cope with it. Newcastle had a solid game plan and it completely threw us. Pezza 20, for once Moisey got it wrong. We knew how Newcastle would play, and leaving nobody in the middle against Mixon was asking for trouble. I don't quite get where people thought we played well. We need to quicken the play, and he should have been the one driving that, but he just dilly-dallied every single time in the first half, which makes the runs that people are making worthless as they get covered. Johnson had some good and bad, but he wasn't the cause of the defeat. Step forward Fabianski, who had the biggest blunder game since Liverpool last year. Truly awful goalkeeping. But to get ourselves back in the game at 2-2 and then squander really hurt. Mumbles 87. So I woke up from nights, 2-0 down, 10 men. I thought, oh, sod it, I'll watch it. Second half, just as a half of football, I was impressed. We battled back. We gave our all. It's a shame we lost, but these things happen. Who would have had us down to 6 points from the past 2 games? I still think we'll finish top 6. And Sendo, a needless red card, a clumsy own goal, and a calamitous goalkeeping error. It's not the West Ham of old. But if you give the other team a 2-goal lead and 1-man head start, you need to play incredibly well to get anything out of that game. Honestly, we didn't deserve it. The second half was better, but still not good enough. And it took after our second 2 attacks for Newcastle to score again. Despite us being so defensively solid for the whole season, for the last 4 games or so, we've got all at sea at the back. The chance to go third squandered in time-honoured West Ham style. And last one, Italian hammer. Stupid errors by Fabianski and Dawson did us. Were we poor? Yes. But this is the second game in a row where Dawson has picked up an early yellow card. Yep. And today he got done again by a poor touch and lunging to try and recover it. Tactically, I thought Moyes got it wrong. Newcastle sat back and tried to hit us on the counter. Our lack of pace in the middle exposed us. Better second half, but going to concede so quickly after getting back into it. Still, if we're going to have a stinker, better today than against Chelsea, which is now a real 6-pointer.
Yeah, very much so. We'll come on to that game in just a minute. But I've just got to say before we carry on, I get the feeling my dear wife, who looks after me very well, wants me to get on with this particular stream this afternoon, because this has just landed on my desk. And I can't eat it while we're doing the stream. Can you see that? Look at that. I know. Look at it. It's gorgeous, and I can't eat it and talk at the same time.
No wonder you snapped her up. You know,
she's a keeper.
You just think he's slightly better than my next door neighbour, because he clearly settled down to watch the famous West Ham this afternoon.
Yeah.
Because his wife was out mowing the lawn, and I'm thinking, there's a man that's got it organised. Any of our viewers or listeners at the minute, I apologise. That was a bit of a everyday sexism, but there you go.
Yeah, a bit of throw that in for good measure anyway. So we're going to have to hurry up now before my sandwich goes completely stone cold. But Pinky, we said earlier there wasn't that many comments on the Toontastic forum and Talk of the Toon. I think it was the other one or something like that. Yeah. Did we manage to eke any more comments out?
Well, Bruce was very lucky there. Players too, mind, looked totally disinterested until they equalised. 35% possession against 10 men for an hour says it all. I mean, the consensus clearly is, they got the win, but the ill feeling against both Mike Ashley and Steve Bruce at that football club. Yeah. If Moose thinks that our supporters somehow suck the life and joy out of our players, he needs to go to Newcastle and see what really goes on when football supporters don't get behind their team. James, there you go. It's 30 posts on a forum where you've got posters with 30 and 40,000 posts to the name. There is a wholesale boycott of Newcastle United going on at the minute. Their fans clearly are not impressed. There you go. Got away with murder. What an absolutely shockingly good game. Got away with one there. That second half nearly killed me. Basically, they're not happy in Newcastle, and I don't know why. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've won anything anytime recently, have they? I think even Tottenham have won a trophy more recently than Newcastle.
Was it the Fairs Cup they won in '68? Was their only major tournament?
Something like that.
In the last 50 years, 60 years. Something.
So they're another club that's got a divine right to trophies and things, because they won something 50 odd years ago. And dare I say it, is Mike Ashley the worst owner in the world? No, because I think we've got the worst owners in the world. And if our season does peter out into nothing now, and it could do, because we've run out of bodies, remember, the board of directors have failed to support the manager appropriately. We've gone into the second half of the season without a recognised striker at the club. We've gone into the season generally with, every week now, 2 starters every week are on loan players from other football clubs.
Yeah.
Craig Dawson and Jesse Lingard.
Mm.
The lack of reinforcements, the lack of money for this manager. I totally get that the previous manager's mistakes had to be swept up to a certain extent. But who else in the top flight would go into half a season without a striker? Who else?
Yeah.
And you know, talk about for the want of a nail, for the want of just one extra top draw player, we could have picked up 3 points today. Instead, we introduced Said Benrahma, our £30 million, marquee signing, and more I'm convinced the only reason we were able to get rid of Sebastian Haller is because we'd already agreed that we would sign Benrahma. In that sense, it was this relationship between our chairman, a football agent called Will Salthouse, and a particular agency is not healthy. There's too many deals within deals getting done. I'll take this player if you can shift that player, kind of thing. There's too much of it going on, and I can't think of another Premier League club where an agent and a chairman are so hand in glove to the detriment of the manager. And as good a season as we've had, here we are at the business end of the season when you really need to start pushing the accelerator and say, we want some points. Yeah. It doesn't happen because he's just run out of bodies. David Moyes, his post-match comments there, he's done his best to protect the players. He said, there's a couple of individual errors, but, generally we were good. And no, we weren't, Mr. Moyes. We weren't good at all today. We were poor today, and they were calamitous errors. But be honest, you've run out of options. You clearly don't fancy Said Benrahma because you never pick him to start, and you leave it to the last possible moment before you throw him on. If that doesn't tell us that the manager never wanted that player, then nothing else will. And you just think the fee was supposed to have paid for him, close to £30 million. What could that have bought? And that's the difference. So if the chairman sits there and goes, we've missed out on the Champions League, well, physician, heal thyself, because your manager's dug you out of a huge hole all season. A limited squad of players has dug the chairman out of a huge hole all season. But ultimately, when it's come to the crunch, we've just run out of bodies. And to lose 6 points to this particular Newcastle is pretty unforgivable. It's shocking stuff.
Yes, not good at all. And as you're saying there, Benrahma not trusted to come on the pitch until 15 minutes to go when he replaced Noble after we'd already pulled a goal back at the time when, we were kind of crying out for something a little bit different on the pitch. And that's where I want to turn to next, actually, gentlemen, because, we're quite generous, I think, in our praise of David Moyes when the team's doing well. So I think it's only fair that, when criticism is due, that we perhaps throw a little bit of that in his general direction. Might not be today. Let's see what you guys think. But we were kind of bemoaning Rio the fact that even at half time we were talking about how do we change this at the break. We were trying to come up with a solution between us for the second half. After an hour, we were kind of sitting here thinking, when's the change coming? And the first change didn't arrive until, as we just mentioned there, Benrahma coming on for Noble with just 15 minutes of the game to go, and you've got Lanzini on the bench. Yarmolenko was back. Again, we don't know how fit they are, but the fact that they were on the bench would kind of suggest they were, able to do a job, to coin a phrase. Any criticism of Moyes today with the way he used his subs? Because this is obviously something that he is frequently criticised for by the fan base, his perceived ill timing of substitutions.
I think there's an argument for both sides of the coin. The fact that we actually got it back to 2-2 without really a major change of personnel to start with, you got to give credit to the manager. And when the second half started, for the next 20, 25 minutes, we were largely on the front foot. We were the ones asking the questions. Even down to 10 men, we were putting plenty of corners, plenty of crosses into the box. yes, there was obviously deficiencies in our patterns of attack. No, the left-hand side was notably weak. But who could have come on and truly played left wing or left wing back to try and ask the questions there now in a more natural manner than Ben Johnson did? So it's still harsh to be too critical of him because the way we got back into the game.
Yeah.
And you also got to factor in, he clearly doesn't trust Ben Rama.
Yeah.
And Ben Rama, for me, with every passing week, with his little cameo appearances, he's doing nothing to persuade the manager any other way. You know, he's not defensively disciplined enough. He's wasteful in possession. He gets caught out so many times, much to our detriment, and it's cost us a few goals. So you can see why the manager doesn't trust him. Lanzini's are in 1 or 2 games, and that won the goal against Tottenham. He's not produced anything for the last 18 months or so.
Yeah.
He clearly wasn't fit. Yarmolenko clearly isn't fit. So despite the fact that he was on the bench and available for selection, the fact that he didn't bring him on until about 15 minutes to go really says a lot about their fitness and their state of mind. And again, going back to our squad depth, because they really shouldn't be on the bench in a normal season with a normal, fully fit squad with plenty of opportunities to bodies to pick from. Any other season, they won't even be on there. They won't be under consideration. But because we are so desperate in numbers, they're being rushed back a little and asked to play a part in a Champions League push.
Yeah.
What other team in this position would do that?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair points. Pinky, do you agree with Rio on that? Do you think credit should be due? Because, you know, we were 2-0 down at half-time. We were kind of pretty much sitting here urging him to make subs. Didn't make the subs, but he certainly must have changed something at half-time because we got back to it at 2-2. But what's your view on the way he managed that game in the second half?
Personally, I think he should have brought the subs on earlier.
Right.
I can understand why he didn't, and for the reasons that Rio's illustrated there. But you could almost argue that, well, okay, you know, getting it back to all square vindicated his position. Well, did it, or was that just some good fortune? You know, no VAR, no penalty kick, and no all square. So you know, if people are trying to tell me that he's managing the situation well because VAR dug us out of a hole, well, that's a bit of a stretch for me. I think a couple of things he did today sort of suggested a lack of urgency in terms of a lack of, the message didn't seem to be, you know, get a win and we really are pushing for third spot here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't feel that at any stage this afternoon that was the mindset the players went onto the field with. Yeah. Not from the first minute, not from the 46th minute did I feel the message was get a win, because we need a win to cement third spot. It's almost like some of the old doubts have crept back in, like, you know, it's like when you cop off with the best looking bird in the nightclub and you start saying, well, how have I done that? Yeah. You know, if you're that lacking in confidence and you're never going to hang on to her. And I think all we saw today was actually, when it comes to the crunch, when we were sitting there, do we deserve to be anywhere near third? The message today seemed to be collectively no. And if that's the approach you're going to take, if that's the attitude you're going to take, yeah, then you're not going to be third. You're going to slide down the table to your rightful place. And I'm sorry, I'm not having it West Ham knowing its place and tugging our forelock and walking out the room backwards and being grateful for our lot. Yeah, you know, I want a chairman who's actually got some money, can actually support the manager and say, striker, you say, yes, we'll go and get one for you right now. Because when Alex Ferguson was winning all those titles at Manchester United and Arsene Wenger was doing it at Arsenal, yeah, they were going into their boards and saying, I need player A, B, or C. Yeah. And actually their boards were saying A, B, or C. No, Mr. Wenger, no, Mr. Ferguson. You can have A and B and C, because do you know what? We want to win things as a football club. We're not scared of qualifying for Europe because we need a bigger squad. We actually will back a manager to get us into Europe, and we'll be delighted to back him with a squad. I mean, the nonsense we've heard this week about, oh, Europe's not good for us. Do me a favour. What's the point of all this? And I'm sorry, as a group of supporters, and if you're watching Ian Abrams and thinking that we're the negative ones that drag the team down, can you imagine the reaction today of our travelling support after that first 45 minutes? Individual errors or not, we weren't at it. We didn't want it. We didn't fancy it. We'd have been getting stuck into the players and say, effort is equal. Application is what we require. We weren't working hard enough. We weren't running hard enough. We weren't thinking smartly enough. The fact we clawed it back to 2-2 just tells me that Newcastle are fundamentally rubbish. Yeah. Unlike that sausage sandwich, which you're clearly enjoying in the background there. But yeah, ultimately, did we look today like a team that said, Europe, here we come?
No.
Yeah. I don't think so.
No, very, very much from it. And I should point out, I haven't actually taken a bite yet, but I was just kind of moving the sausages around and getting a taste for it in a minute. Anyway,
do it.
Couple more things before we wrap up, because of course there's some very important things to be done here in the shape of a sausage sandwich very shortly. Next up, Chelsea. Always was a big game, Rio. Could still be the game that decides who takes that third or fourth Champions League spot. But for West Ham, it's become even more important now following that defeat today. Can we beat them next weekend? Are we going to beat them next weekend?
It's made it incredibly unlikely. We're dropping like flies in terms of numbers. The one bonus for me out of today is that Craig Dawson will not be a part of that game. Because for the last 6 weeks or so, and dare I say it, whether the contract signed, sealed and delivered that we actually bought him, he has looked every bit the player that Watford fans detested with an absolute passion. He's gone from a revelation, a solid English centre-half, committed to everything, into someone who should be committed and never seen again a West Ham shirt. He's form of the last month or so has been absolutely shocking. And I'm rather glad he's not playing a part next week against a Chelsea side that we all know has got a wealth of attacking talent and can hurt people.
Yeah.
Now, we're desperately short on numbers. We need a mental boost during the week. We've said this a few times the last few weeks, haven't we? We need to regroup as a squad, mentally toughen up. Next week is the do or die. The Champions League potential qualification, next week is the game. We need to get that into the players. We need someone to take leadership. We need someone to get a hold of them and it's not come out in the manner that we did today. Because today we had a defeatist attitude from the off. We didn't look at the races at all. This isn't the West Ham side we've seen all season. All season we've seen West Ham side with passion, desire, intent. We had none of that today.
Yep.
And it was so shockingly bad and evident that had we been in a different position, I would have said, like as in biannual, triannual relegation fight, I would have said we're doomed. It looked like we took the foot off the pedal 3 weeks early. So we need to regroup, refocus, and get into the players that this is the biggest game of the season next week. Win this, we're on the front foot. Chelsea are the ones who are playing catch up again. This is our biggest game for a long, long time next week. We cannot afford to let it slip. All right, yeah, we're lacking numbers, but a bit of mentality, a bit of aggression, a bit of passion, a bit of intelligence wouldn't go amiss next week. I just hope that we revert to the type of West Ham that we've seen each and every week, largely until today, because today wasn't good enough in any level at any stage.
Okay, excellent, good stuff. Pinky Rio says it's the biggest game for a long time next week. Chelsea, West Ham United v Chelsea, could be, as we said, it could be, you know, one of those two teams that qualifies for the Champions League. I think we're also discounting Leicester, though, because we know what a tough running they've got as well. And I think they're still going to have a part to play in this, but we'll come to that in just a minute. But as far as West Ham and Chelsea goes next week, what are your thoughts?
Well, all games against Chelsea should be a big game. You know, whether we're sitting, you know, comfortably in mid-table and they've already won the league or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I don't think there's any love lost between the two groups of supporters ever. So for me, yeah, big game come what may.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm looking for is a performance from our players, desire, determination, application, yeah, an attitude that says we are not going to give away soft goals, because let's not kid ourselves. The money that Chelsea have been able to invest in their squad season after season, year after year, you know, you'd think it was us that had the transfer ban for a season, not them, you know, in terms of recruitment. You know, their manager has got a wealth of talent at his disposal, but you know what? You know, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, and that's a truism in sport. And you know, they might have more talented players because they've got more squad depth, but we can work hard. We can make it difficult for them. We can make it as hard for them today as we've made for other clubs, as hard for them next week as we've made for other clubs this season. And that's what I want to see. I want to see a hard-working performance that actually says, if you're going to get something from us, Chelsea, you'll have earned it. What I don't want to see is gifted goals from individual errors, you know, and I'll be kind and say I'll put today down as the one really shocking game since the start of the season. And it probably has been. That's probably our worst performance since the opening day.
Yeah, since Newcastle again, yeah.
Yeah, it's Newcastle again. But for us to beat Chelsea, I think that's a massive ask now. So I think we should try to beat them. I don't think we should, you know, play them with an attitude that says we'll just go for the point. I think try and beat them. But if all we get is a point, I'd say that's a good point. But it really is, I mean, dare I say it, bare bones. I've praised David Moyes plenty over the last several weeks because he's not whinged about his injury list. He's got on with it and so forth. Today, we just got exposed a bit. And I'm sorry to keep going on about Ben Rama, but this whole affair where the chairman has clearly done a deal with an agent, he's delivered a player to the manager, who the manager doesn't trust. What impact, you know, never mind Ian Abrams going on about West Ham United supporters, you know, adversely affecting the players. Mm-hmm. What does Ian Abrams think the arrival of a player who the manager clearly doesn't trust or want does to the dressing room? I'd like to hear that sort of comment on TalkSport and say, you know, if he really thinks it's us, the supporters are affecting the players, maybe you should ask what the chairman does by doing that sort of stroke season after season. And we heard this from Sam Allardyce when he was the manager. How a player would arrive at the training ground and it'd be, well, here's one for you. And the manager would know nothing about it.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. But next week, it is a case of go with what we've got. I don't know how long Cresswell's out for, but by golly, we could do with him back. The fact that Ogbonna had to come in and play the full 90 today after a long layoff ought to tell us as well how threadbare it is. If there's any chance at all of patching Mikel Antonio up and getting him on the field, we should take the chance. You know, ditto Declan Rice. And dare I say it, with all the comments about Rice and his best mate Mason Mount and all the rest of it, I've just got a sneaking feeling that we'll see Declan Rice back next week. Call it a hunch. Yeah.
He's on Instagram, some pictures of him in the gym on the treadmill, doing some weights. So
I'm never going to own up to doing
I'm
Instagram.
hopeful.
So but all I'll tell you, if you want, I'll stick some pictures of me up on a treadmill doing some weights on Instagram if you want. But I ain't starting for West Ham next week on the back of that. I think we'll see.
No, you're on the bench, obviously.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Filling 3/4 of the bench. But I think we'll see Declan back next week.
Okay.
And that ought to make a massive difference. If for no other reason, the morale will improve. But I'm looking for improved individual performances by fewer errors and a bit of heart, a bit of desire. Yeah, a bit more than a hot dog. You know what I mean?
Yes, or a sausage even.
Yeah.
But we are rapidly drawing to conclusion. Now, we said last week we're going to ask this question at the end of every live stream. So it's been a disappointing one this afternoon, but I'm going to put it to you again, gentlemen. And we will do for the next few weeks until it's no longer feasible to do so. But the question, as per last week, is Champions League qualification, yes or no? Rio, yes or no for you?
It's still a no.
Still a
it's
no.
looking increasingly unlikely by the week.
Okay, still a no for Rio. Pinky, yes or no? Champions League qualification.
I was a yes. I'm now a no, because to do it, we've got to beat Chelsea next week. And while stranger things have happened, can I give you my answer when I see next week's team sheet?
Yeah.
Because I genuinely feel if we could get Declan Rice back on the pitch, next week, the difference in caliber of player that we've suddenly got available is enormous, and the lift that would give to the whole team is enormous. You know, the belief, we spoke about it today, a lack of on the pitch leadership, and Nobes, who has carried the torch for so long, his arm must be falling off.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't do it today. You know, I suspect if you got hold of Mark Noble now, he'd tell you I probably shouldn't have played today. Let's not forget he took a really nasty knock last week.
He did. Yeah.
And he's probably done all he could do just to get on the field today. Yeah. But if we could get Rice back next week, I might give you a different answer to what I'd give you if you're asking the question right now.
Okay. Well, if I remember, I'll put it to you before the game begins. If Deckers is back in the starting lineup for that game next Saturday at the London Olympic Stadium, when West Ham take on Chelsea in a huge game. Rio said it, biggest game for a long time, probably, quite possibly the biggest game since we played them last season when we turned them over with that late goal from Yarmolenko, wasn't it? I think to win 3-2. Funnily enough, yet again, another one of those. But anyway, that's just about it. Oh. I haven't given my verdict. I'm going to say yes still. I said yes last week, and I still think yes. I've got a feeling both us and Chelsea might yet qualify because, as I mentioned there, Leicester have got those horrendous last 3 games. I think we could still afford to lose against Chelsea, and it would really lump the pressure on us. But, Burnley, Everton, Brighton, West Brom, Southampton, if we were to win those 5 games, and again, that's a huge ask. I think that might just be enough to see us over the line, given who Leicester have got, Tottenham, Man U, and was it Chelsea? Someone else in their last 3 games, but very tough. So
I think you're high on sausage fumes.
Sorry, Rio. Sorry.
I think you're high on sausage fumes, to be honest. But you carry on.
You're quite possibly right. It's been wafting over for the last 15 minutes or so. So I'm gonna end the stream there. Sorry, Pinky, you're going to come in there.
Well, I was always going to go the full Lineker there in terms of if we're in a position for the Saints game to qualify for the Champions League, I'll happily sit in the bowling bar at the London Stadium in my underpants, before kickoff. There you go. I'll sit in the lounge there in my underpants. Okay. All right. That's a commitment there. Okay. We won't be streaming that, by the way.
I think we might have to. I think if that were the case, we'd have to send some equipment up there just to record such a memorable and occasion. But we shall see. Of course, that could yet be the case. But that is it for today.
If that doesn't incentivise the players to perform, nothing will.
Pinky's pants. You want to see that? Come on, everybody. I don't know where to go from there. I'm trying to think of a link, but I can't think one. Pinky's pants on promise for the final day of the season. If West Ham can still be in the shout with the Champions League qualification on that day. Let's hope we get to see it. But as far as today goes, that's it from us. Me and the team, myself and Gnome, who parted company with earlier, and Rio, and the Pink Palermo. It's been a disappointing day for West Ham United. It's been a day on which the club's Champions League hopes have taken a major dent, going down 3-2 at St James's Park against Newcastle United. An own goal, again, another own goal, a red card, a goalkeeping blunder, and still we got it back to 2-2, but it just wasn't to be today as the Hammers went down on the day. We will be back next week for West Ham United versus Chelsea. Huge game in what could still be a Champions League qualification. You never know, but we shall wait and see. It's going to be a long week until then, no doubt, but that's it from us. We shall see you next Saturday. I'm off to eat one of these. So come on, you irons, and we'll see you again very soon.